Welcome to your next module. So, this one is really around safety conversations and looking at reflexivity to enhance our communication. So, safety conversations are often high stakes, right? They can be emotionally charged. There's a lot of, hierarchy involved, previous experiences that they didn't go so well. And they can involve sensitive topics, particularly when stakes are high or there's sensitivity around timing. And in these moments, often particularly when we're being spoken up to, our instinct is to react quickly, respond quickly, but reacting without reflection or pausing can lead to defensiveness, misunderstanding, and missed opportunities for collaboration. So, in this session and in the lesson going forward, we're going to explore a framework I put together around a reflexive checklist specifically for safety negotiations. They can be used in any conversation, but this is in particularly where my research lied, and it's built really around supporting and advancing your thinking in applying the reset, reframe, engage communication framework that we teach at Reframing Conversations, particularly around feedback, receiving feedback, and also in speaking up conversations. So with these reflective checklists, you can use it before having a conversation, or you can use it after you have a conversation to self-reflect on how you think it went. I'm not for a minute thinking you should, when someone speaks up to you, pause and pull out your checklist, right? Excuse me, I'm just going to check my checklist here. That's not what I'm saying, but it's a tool that you can use in your own time to prepare or self-reflect on your conversations to enhance your own communication, adaptability, reflexivity, and skills. So when I talk about the reset, reframe, engage, so I've created 3 phases. The reset phase is really around managing your emotions, building rapport, and previewing the conversation. So this is really where a lot of reflexivity work also needs to happen, is around that managing emotions, managing defensiveness, particularly when you're being spoken up to. And this could just be simply as pausing. So it creates a space for intentionality about engaging proactively in a conversation. The reframe element, so once we've managed our emotions and we've done those steps, is to help us shift our thinking, reframe our thinking to one of potential blame or defensiveness or fear to one of, well, what's the shared goal here? Or what is it that I'm possibly not seeing in this moment? So this is where the making of positive attributions or holding people in positive regard come in. Because what it does is it helps us reframe our thinking to be better positioned to get curious. And in the engage is where we actually engage in the negotiation. And at Reframing Conversations, we use the COG framework, which is underpinned by advocacy inquiry, and which we would deliberately teach you and give you feedback on with our in-person online courses. So this framework really helps us stay grounded and collaborative, even under pressure. So the reflexive checklist helps us do these steps. It'll help you in any conversation, but in particular is designed to get better at this. So what is reflexivity? It's about being intentional and self-aware in communication. It asks us to think about, what assumptions am I bringing to this conversation? What are my biases? How might my emotions influence my tone or word of choice? What outcome do I want? And by practicing reflexivity, we complement other communication frameworks such as reset, reframe, engage. But we're also just not reacting. We're reflecting, we're choosing deliberately our responses that are aligned with our values and goals of choice. Reflection also strengthens our adaptability, and we need adaptability to be effective communicators, particularly in industries such as healthcare or aviation or wherever the stakes can be high. Reflection allows us to analyze past conversations. So, post conversations, we can use a reflexive checklist to say, well, what worked well and what didn't? How did my tone or words of choice affect the potential or affect the outcome? By learning from experience, you build adaptive strategies for future interactions, right? And this is key for also building resilience. So the reflective checklist for negotiating safety is designed, as I said, for two scenarios. One, before initiating a conversation. So not if you have to speak up or give feedback in the moment, but if you know you're going to have a conversation that you really want to put thought into, that it may be a little bit emotionally charged, you might want to use the tool then to make sure you're ready in a best position to have that conversation. When receiving feedback or being spoken up to, it prompts us to consider emotional awareness, clarity, and authenticity. For example, it gets you to reflect on what was my intention in this conversation? What emotions was I feeling? What emotions am I feeling right now? How can I express curiosity more instead of judgment? So it helps us communicate in a way that's authentic, that's curious, and that's fundamentally constructive. We know the importance of feedback. There is no professional sports player out there that trains and practices without feedback, right? If you want to get good at something, you have to get feedback because feedback fuels growth. Seeking and integrating feedback helps us identify blind spots in ourselves, blind spots in how we communicate. Feedback provides external perspectives and challenges our assumptions and broadens our understanding to help us make our responses more constructive and less defensive. So using these tools such as the checklist and the reset, reframe, engage framework helps us shift from automatic reactions that may not be serving us well to intentional, more reflective ones. And over time, using things such as the checklists helps build a culture where safety conversations are normalized, respected, and are effective because you can use this as a tool individually, but you can use it together with your team as well to go through it together when conversations worked well or when they didn't go so well and understand why. So the goal of integrating these frameworks is that you get to a point. Imagine if you've got a team where speaking up is safe, feedback is welcomed, and collaboration thrives, right? That's our ultimate goal. So in this course, we talked about micro habit formation, and we need this in order to embed reflexivity in our daily life. Reflexivity becomes sustainable through the formation of micro habits. And they can be really simple as picking one thing out of the checklist that you want to work on that week, such as this week I'm going to focus on pausing for 3, 5, 10 seconds before I respond. It could be saying, I'm going to ask one clarifying question before I offer my perspective. Or I'm going to check my intention before I initiate a conversation. So these small repeatable actions create kind of more automatic patterns that supports resilience and effective communication. So have a look at the checklist, have a look through it, identify some things that you need to work on yourself, and start creating micro habits for your own learning.